Before the rise and fall of great empires, before the pyramids pierced the skies, there existed a world now forgotten by time, whispered only in dreams and the silent depths of the oceans. A land where spirit and nature moved as one, where wisdom flowed as naturally as rivers to the sea, where every breath was a song of unity with the stars. This is the story of Lemuria, the lost twin of Atlantis, a civilization whose light still lingers, carried by the winds, the waters, and the memory of the soul. Close your eyes, breathe deeply, and journey with me into the timeless realm of Lemuria. Before the rise and fall of empires we know, before the pyramids reached for the heavens, or the stones of Stonehenge were placed beneath ancient skies, there existed whispers of a land now lost beneath the waves, a place called Lemuria. Unlike the famed Atlantis, whose tale echoed through Plato's words, Lemuria's story drifts through the mists of forgotten time, carried by myths, esoteric teachings, and the silent depths of the Pacific Ocean. It is said that this vast continent stretched across oceans, a bridge between worlds, home to a civilization so old that even legends struggle to recall its true form. The origins of Lemuria begin not with human memory but with the Earth's own shifting body. In the 19th century, scientists puzzled over similarities between species found on distant continents. How could the same creatures exist in India and Madagascar, or across the wide expanses of the Pacific? Some proposed a sunken continent, a lost land that once connected these far-off places. Thus, the name Lemuria was born, inspired by the lemurs of Madagascar, whose presence hinted at ancient connections now erased by time and tide. Yet, while science would later explain these mysteries through plate tectonics and continental drift, the idea of Lemuria took on a life far beyond biology. Theosophists and mystics embraced the notion of a vanished world, weaving tales of an enlightened race, beings who lived in harmony with nature, possessing knowledge and spiritual depth far surpassing modern understanding. Lemuria became more than a land. It became a symbol of a forgotten golden age, a paradise lost beneath the waves. According to these esoteric traditions, the Lemurians were not like us. They were said to be towering figures, some descriptions claiming heights of 10 to 15 feet. Their bodies more ethereal than physical, bathed in a soft luminescence. These beings communicated not with words but through telepathy, sharing thoughts and emotions in pure, unfiltered exchange. They lived in deep connection with the earth, understanding the rhythms of nature, the energies of stones, plants, and stars. Technology, as we know it, was foreign to them. Their advancements lay in spiritual mastery and the subtle forces that modern science has yet to grasp. Legends speak of crystal cities that shimmered under the sun, structures grown, not built, resonating with the Earth's frequencies. The Lemurians, it is said, harnessed the power of these crystals for healing, communication, and energy. They did not conquer their environment, but flowed with it, guided by wisdom passed down from even older beings, some say from star ancestors who seeded knowledge across the cosmos. But even in paradise, change is inevitable. The story of Lemuria is not just one of harmony, but also of decline, of a world slowly succumbing to forces beyond its control. Some traditions tell of a gradual densification of their once subtle bodies, a fall from higher vibrational states into the heavier realms of physical existence. Others hint at internal divisions, a growing rift between those who wish to remain aligned with spiritual paths and those tempted by material experience and power. As millennia passed, the fate of Lemuria became sealed by cataclysm. The earth shifted. Great upheavals tore through the land. Volcanoes roared, earthquakes shattered the serenity, and the ocean began its slow, relentless rise. Whether this was a natural cycle, a consequence of cosmic alignments, or the result of misused energy estuaries differ. Yet all agree that Lemuria, vast and ancient, began to sink beneath the Pacific waves, its people facing a destiny from which there was no escape. Some say that not all perished. In the twilight of their civilization, the Lemurians are believed to have retreated deep within the earth, into vast subterranean realms where they continue their existence, hidden from the surface world. These inner sanctuaries, often linked to myths of Agartha or Shambhala, are said to house the last echoes of Lemurian wisdom, waiting for a time when humanity is ready to remember. Others believe that survivors journeyed across the seas, seeding the knowledge of Lemuria in faraway lands, becoming the ancestors of Polynesian cultures, the builders of mysterious megaliths on remote islands, and perhaps even influencing the rise of civilizations in South America and Asia. The memory of Lemuria, though submerged, would live on in myths, chants, and the silent stones left behind on windswept shores. And so, the legend of Lemuria lingers not as a mere tale of a sunken continent, but as a reminder of a world where spirit and nature danced as one, where beings of light once walked beneath ancient skies, listening to the song of the earth. As the waves closed over Lemuria's once vast lands, the memory of this ancient civilization did not vanish entirely. It became embedded in the collective unconscious of humanity, surfacing in dreams, myths, and the quiet whispers of indigenous cultures scattered across the Pacific. The Polynesians spoke of Hiva, a motherland swallowed by the sea. The Maori told tales of sunken realms, and on Easter Island, the great stone moai stood as silent sentinels, their origins lost to time, but thought by some to mark the remnants of Lemuria's distant legacy. For those attuned to the subtle energies of the world, it is said that Lemuria never truly disappeared. The land may have sunk, but its spirit remained. Mystics and seekers throughout the ages have claimed to feel the presence of Lemurian energy in certain sacred sites, places where the veil between past and present feels thin, where the hum of ancient wisdom still vibrates beneath the surface of modern reality. One of the most enduring aspects of Lemurian lore centers around the so-called Lemurian seed crystals. These are said to be special quartz crystals, encoded by the Lemurians before their fall, containing vast repositories of knowledge, healing frequencies, and spiritual guidance. Found in places like Brazil and Mount Shasta in California, these crystals are believed to awaken those who hold them, stirring forgotten memories of a time when humanity lived in harmony with the earth and the cosmos. Mount Shasta itself holds a prominent place in Lemurian legend. Many believe that beneath its snow-capped peak lies the entrance to Telos, a hidden city where surviving Lemurians continue to dwell in peace, shielded from the outer world. Stories abound of travelers encountering mysterious beings near the mountain, tall, serene figures who vanish as quickly as they appear, leaving behind a sense of calm and a lingering feeling of being watched over by something ancient and benevolent. But beyond the mystical tales and esoteric teachings, Lemuria also serves as a reflection, a mirror held up to modern humanity. It invites the question, what does it mean to live in true harmony? The Lemurians, as described in countless accounts, did not see themselves as separate from nature or each other. There was no concept of ownership over land or resources. No wars fought for dominance. No exploitation of the earth's gifts. Their society, whether literal or allegorical, represents an ideal where existence itself was a sacred act. Every breath, a communion with the living world. Some spiritual traditions suggest that the story of Lemuria is not just history, but prophecy. They believe that humanity is slowly awakening to the same consciousness that once flourished in that lost continent. The rise of interest in holistic healing, environmental stewardship, and spiritual exploration is seen as a re-emergence of Lemurian values, a rekindling of ancient wisdom buried deep within the human soul. And yet, the fall of Lemuria also serves as a cautionary tale. Even a civilization built on harmony can face destruction when the balance is disturbed. Whether through natural cataclysm or internal discord, Lemuria's descent beneath the ocean waves is a reminder of the fragility of even the most enlightened societies. It whispers of the need to remain vigilant, to nurture the delicate equilibrium between progress and reverence for the world that sustains us. In the quiet corners of the world, where the ocean meets forgotten shores, there are those who still listen for the echoes of Lemuria. They speak of dreams where vast crystal cities shimmer beneath the sea, where songs in an ancient tongue drift through the waters, calling to those who remember. Some say that children born with a deep sense of connection to nature, with an innate understanding of energies and healing, are the reincarnated souls of Lemurians, returning to guide humanity back toward the path it once walked. The ocean, vast and unknowable, guards its secrets well, but every wave that crashes upon the shore carries with it a fragment of that ancient story. A reminder that beneath the surface of what we know lies a world forgotten, yet not entirely lost. Lemuria lives on in the stones, in the winds, and perhaps most importantly, in the hearts of those who dare to remember a time when light and life were one. And so, as the tides continue their eternal dance, the story of Lemuria flows with them, unseen but ever present. While much of the world dismisses Lemuria as myth, there are ancient cultures whose oral traditions preserve fragments of a forgotten past. Stories passed from generation to generation, echoing memories older than written history. In the temples of India, whispers of a sunken land to the east persist. In the chants of Polynesian navigators, tales of a great homeland beneath the sea remain alive. And in the remote highlands of South America, legends speak of ancestors who came from a distant, drowned continent. These scattered remnants hint at a truth, obscured by time, that Lemuria's influence was not confined to the Pacific alone. Some believe that before its fall, Lemuria was a center of spiritual knowledge, a beacon that radiated wisdom across the globe. It is said that travelers from Lemuria ventured far, sharing insights into the mysteries of life, the stars, and the unseen forces that bind the universe together. Their teachings, veiled in symbolism, would later form the foundation of many ancient philosophies and mystical traditions. Symbols associated with Lemuria appear in unexpected places: spirals, representing the flow of energy and the cycles of existence; intricate geometric patterns that mirror the structures of crystals and the harmonics of sound. These motifs are found carved into stones, on remote islands, woven into textiles, and echoed in sacred architecture. To those who seek deeper meaning, these are not mere decorations, they are keys to unlocking a forgotten language of the soul. Among the most intriguing aspects of Lemurian lore is the idea that their civilization operated on a different vibrational frequency than our current world. The Lemurians, it is said, lived in a state of higher consciousness, perceiving realities that are invisible to the physical eye. This allowed them to interact with dimensions beyond the third, to communicate with beings of light, nature, spirits, and perhaps even intelligences from distant stars. Such concepts might seem fantastical, yet modern quantum physics now entertains the existence of multiple dimensions, fields of energy that interweave with our own reality. Could it be that the Lemurians mastered what science is only beginning to theorize? If so, their disappearance may not have been total annihilation, but a transitional shift from one plane of existence to another, leaving behind only traces detectable by those attuned to subtle energies. Certain spiritual seekers report visions during deep meditation, glimpses of vast crystalline temples bathed in iridescent light, of beings who radiate peace and ancient knowing. They describe hearing melodies unlike any earthly sound, resonating with the very core of their being. These experiences, they claim, are connections to the Lemurian consciousness, a realm still accessible to those who quiet the mind and open the heart. It is also believed that the animals of Lemuria shared a unique bond with its people. Communication with creatures was not based on dominance, but mutual respect and understanding. Dolphins, in particular, are often linked to Lemurian myths, regarded as messengers and guardians of the deep, carrying the songs of the lost continent through the oceans to this day. Some even say that dolphins embody the playful, gentle spirit of the Lemurians, reminding humanity of its once cherished connection to all living beings. As we continue to explore the depths of Lemuria's legacy, we find that its story is not merely about a sunken land, but about a way of existence that transcends physical boundaries. It is a tale woven from the threads of consciousness, energy, and the eternal dance between spirit and matter. Far beneath the surface of modern awareness, there lies a quiet belief that Lemuria's wisdom was never meant to be lost forever. Those attuned to ancient energies speak of a time known as the Great Remembering, a future awakening when humanity will rediscover the truths once held by the Lemurians. This is not a prophecy of return in a physical sense, but a re-emergence of values, compassion, unity, and deep spiritual connection. Throughout history, certain individuals have claimed to be channels or messengers of Lemurian knowledge. These mystics, shamans, and visionaries describe receiving insights through dreams, meditative trances, or interactions with the famed Lemurian crystals. They speak of messages urging humanity to heal its fractured relationship with the earth, to listen once more to the rhythms of nature, and to embrace the forgotten art of living in harmony rather than in conquest. One recurring theme in these messages is the importance of sound and vibration. The Lemurians, it is said, understood that the universe is composed not of solid matter, but of frequencies. That every being, every stone, every drop of water holds a unique tone within the grand symphony of existence. By aligning themselves with these natural harmonies, they could heal illness, grow food with intention, and even alter the fabric of reality in subtle ways. Chanting, singing, and tonal resonance formed the core of Lemurian spiritual practice. Temples were designed to amplify sound. Caves and crystalline chambers served as resonators, where voices would merge with the earth's hum in a sacred exchange. Some believe that certain ancient chants still carry the vibrational codes of Lemuria, unlocking dormant memories in those who hear them. In modern times, echoes of these practices can be found in sound healing therapies, crystal work, and meditative music designed to raise consciousness. Whether consciously or unconsciously, humanity seems to be rediscovering fragments of Lemurian knowledge, guided by an inner pull toward balance and deeper awareness. Another enduring aspect of Lemurian lore is the belief in the sanctity of water. To the Lemurians, water was far more than a resource. It was a living, conscious entity, a medium through which emotions, thoughts, and energies could flow and be purified. Rituals involving oceans, rivers, and sacred springs were central to their culture, not as acts of worship, but as communion with one of Earth's most vital spirits. Some suggest that this reverence for water is why so much of their legacy is tied to the ocean. The sea did not consume Lemuria as a punishment, but embraced it, transforming the land into a hidden realm beneath the waves, preserved in the fluid memory of water itself. Those who walk along certain shores or dive into deep blue depths sometimes report feelings of profound peace, as if welcomed by an ancient presence that recognizes them. The concept of reincarnation plays a significant role in the belief that many souls today carry the imprint of Lemurian lifetimes. These individuals, often drawn to healing arts, environmental causes, or spiritual exploration, may feel an inexplicable longing for a place they've never seen, a yearning for a world where life was simpler, purer, and filled with light. This soul memory, it is said, is part of the great remembering and inner call to revive the Lemurian way within a modern world starved for connection and meaning. As the modern age races forward, driven by technology and material pursuits, the soft whispers of Lemuria remind us of another path, one where wisdom flows like water, where harmony is not an ideal, but a lived reality, and where the deepest truths are not written in books, but felt in the heart's quiet knowing. As we journey deeper into the echoes of Lemuria, we find that its influence stretches far beyond ancient myths and spiritual traditions. There are those who believe that the very fabric of human consciousness has been subtly shaped by this lost civilization. That beneath layers of modern thought lies a quiet remembrance of a time when intuition guided daily life, and the unseen was as real as the ground beneath one's feet. Many ancient sites scattered across the Pacific and beyond are said to be remnants or reflections of Lemurian knowledge. The mysterious stone platforms of Nan Madol in Micronesia, the aligned stones of Tonga, the petroglyphs etched into Hawaiian lava fields. Each carries a sense of enigma, as if built with an understanding that transcends the capabilities attributed to the peoples who followed. Some researchers propose that these structures are not merely functional or ceremonial, but are placed upon energetic ley-line subtle currents of earth energy that the Lemurians once mastered. The concept of these ley lines, sometimes called dragon lines or song lines, aligns with the belief that the earth itself is a living entity, crisscrossed with pathways of vital force. The Lemurians, it is said, were attuned to these energies, building their sacred spaces where the earth's pulse was strongest. Through this connection, they could maintain balanceno just within their own society, but within the planet's natural rhythms. In this view, the fall of Lemuria represents more than a geological event. It marks a disconnection from these primal energies. As the continent sank, so too did humanity's awareness of its deep bond with the living earth. The rise of later civilizations focused on external power, forgetting the inner harmonies once cherished by the Lemurians. Yet, hints of this forgotten wisdom persist. Indigenous cultures around the world maintain practices that honor the land, the sky, and the unseen spirits that dwell within all things. Their ceremonies, songs, and dances are often seen by outsiders as mere tradition, but to those who remember, they are living expressions of the Lemurian legacy threads that have survived the tides of time. Modern seekers often feel drawn to specific places without knowing why, to mountains, oceans, or ancient ruins, where they experience a profound sense of peace or familiarity. These sacred sites are thought to be touchpoints, places where the energy of Lemuria still lingers, inviting those who are sensitive to reconnect with the wisdom of a forgotten age. One of the most enduring mysteries tied to Lemuria involves the idea of portals, gateways between worlds. It is believed that the Lemurians understood how to navigate these energetic doorways, moving between dimensions or distant parts of the earth through vibrational alignment rather than physical travel. Certain caves, mountains, and oceanic trenches are whispered to be remnants of these portals, now dormant but waiting for the right frequency to awaken them once more. Stories from around the Pacific tell of people vanishing into the mist or of strange lights seen hovering over remote islands, phenomena attributed by some to the remnants of Lemurian technology or interdimensional movement. While skeptics dismiss such tales, those attuned to the unseen suggest that these are fleeting glimpses into a reality that coexists with our own. The last traces of a civilization that learned to transcend the limitations of the physical world. In contemplating these mysteries, one begins to sense that Lemuria's true gift was not in its structures or artifacts, but in its understanding of unity, the seamless connection between mind, body, spirit, and the earth itself. This profound sense of unity is perhaps the most important legacy attributed to Lemuria. In a world where modern life often feels fragmented and disconnected, the Lemurian way serves as a gentle reminder of a time when every action, thought, and breath was part of a greater whole. To the Lemurians, existence was not a struggle against nature or fate, but a harmonious flow within the currents of the universe. Their teachings, as passed down through esoteric traditions, emphasize that every human being carries within them a spark of this ancient wisdom. It is not something to be learned, but remembered, an inner knowing that surfaces when one becomes still enough to listen. Practices such as meditation, mindful breathing, and communion with nature are seen as pathways back to this state of awareness, allowing modern souls to realign with the frequencies once embraced by Lemurian society. Among these teachings is the concept of heart-centered living. The Lemurians, it is said, viewed the heart not merely as a physical organ, but as the true center of intelligence and spiritual connection. Decisions were made not through logic alone, but through the quiet guidance of the heart's wisdom, a form of intuitive knowing that fostered compassion, empathy, and collective well-being. This heart-based consciousness extended beyond interpersonal relationships. The Lemurians recognized the sentience of all forms of life. The stones, the trees, the winds, and waters were seen as kin, each possessing their own spirit and purpose within the grand design. Rituals were performed not to dominate nature, but to honor and collaborate with eye-tasking permission before harvesting, giving thanks for every gift received, and offering songs or prayers to maintain balance. Modern environmental movements echo this ancient respect, though often framed in scientific terms. Yet beneath the data and activism lies a deeper Kala yearning to return to a way of being where humanity does not stand apart from the earth but walks in step with it. Those who feel this call may unknowingly be responding to the dormant Lemurian memory within, a soul-level recognition of a path once walked long ago. Some believe that the reawakening of Lemurian consciousness is accelerating in recent times. The rise of global interest in energy healing, sustainable living, and spiritual exploration is seen as evidence that humanity stands at a threshold, poised to rediscover what was lost beneath the waves. The challenges faced by the modern world, climate change, social fragmentation, and spiritual emptiness, are viewed not as mere crises, but as catalysts pushing humanity toward a collective remembering. Crystals, again, play a central role in this awakening. Those who work with Lemurian seed crystals describe them as more than beautiful stones. They are teachers, resonating with subtle vibrations that guide individuals toward healing and higher awareness. When held or meditated upon, these crystals are said to unlock insights, bringing clarity, peace, and a sense of connection to something vast and timeless. Dreams, too, become vessels for Lemurian messages. Many report vivid visions of oceans stretching endlessly, of ancient temples glowing with soft light, of serene beings extending hands in welcome. These dreams leave a lingering sense of calm and purpose, as if reminding the dreamer of a forgotten mission to carry forward the light of Lemuria into a world in need of balance and harmony. As the story unfolds, it becomes clear that Lemuria was never truly about a place, but about a state of being. A way of life where love, wisdom, and unity were not aspirations, but the very foundation of existence. And though the continent may have vanished beneath the Pacific, its essence endures, waiting patiently in the quiet spaces of the heart, in the songs of the sea, and in the whispers of the wind. In exploring the depths of Lemurian lore, one cannot ignore the intertwined fate of Lemuria and its more famous counterpart Atlantis. Though separated by vast oceans and differing philosophies, many traditions speak of these two civilizations as siblings, reflections of humanity's dual nature. Lemuria, the gentle and nurturing elder. Atlantis, the curious and ambitious younger twin. Together, they represented a balance between heart and mind, spirit and intellect, intuition and technology. While Lemuria flourished in harmony with nature, focused on spiritual growth and inner wisdom, Atlantis became known for its rapid advancement in science, technology, and material mastery. It is said that at one point, there was a golden age where both civilizations coexisted in mutual respect, exchanging knowledge across the seas, their differences complementing each other in a delicate equilibrium. But as time passed, the Atlanteans began to shift further toward the pursuit of power and control over the natural world. Their focus on external achievements and manipulation of energies led them down a path of experimentation and, eventually, imbalance. The Lemurians, observing this growing divergence, sought to remind their Atlantic counterparts of the importance of spiritual grounding, urging them to temper intellect with wisdom. Legends tell of councils held between the sages of Lemuria and the scholars of Atlantis, meetings where philosophies clashed and choices were debated that would shape the fate of both civilizations. Some stories suggest that the Lemurians foresaw the dangers of misused knowledge and offered guidance, but their warnings went unheeded. The Atlanteans, driven by curiosity and ambition, continued to push boundaries, delving into forces they did not fully understand. It is within this dynamic that some believe the great cataclysms were set into motion, while natural cycles of the Earth undoubtedly played a role in the eventual destruction of both continents. There are those who assert that misuse of energy, particularly crystal technology, and interdimensional experiments, contributed to destabilizing the planetary balance. Lemuria, despite its peaceful ways, could not escape the ripple effects of these actions. When the earth began to tremble and the seas rose, the Lemurians accepted their fate with grace. They did not fight against the inevitable, but prepared for transition both in spirit and, where possible, in body. Some focused on preserving their knowledge within crystals and the Earth's energetic grids. Others are said to have retreated into inner realms, shifting their existence to frequencies beyond ordinary perception. Atlantis, on the other hand, faced its downfall amidst turmoil and resistance, as attempts to control the unfolding disaster only hastened its demise. The twin civilizations, once shining beacons of human potential, were both swallowed by the waters, leaving behind only fragments of their stories, scattered like pearls across the sands of time. Yet, the relationship between Lemuria and Atlantis serves as more than a tale of lost, is a reflection of the choices humanity continues to face. The balance between technological advancement and spiritual wisdom remains a central theme in the modern world. The memory of these ancient lands whispers a timeless lesson that true progress comes not from mastery over nature, but from harmonious coexistence with it. Among the many mysteries surrounding Lemuria, few are as compelling as the belief that its legacy was intentionally preserved not just in crystals or sacred sites, but within the very DNA of humanity. Some esoteric teachings suggest that the Lemurians, understanding their impending fate, encoded their wisdom into the genetic blueprint of future generations, embedding spiritual awareness and intuitive abilities deep within the human experience. This concept, often referred to as the Lemurian Code, proposes that every human being carries latent potentials, dormant gifts awaiting activation. These include heightened empathy, telepathic sensitivity, healing abilities, and a natural attunement to Earth's energies. While these traits may appear sporadically in individuals throughout history, it is believed that a time will come when they awaken collectively, heralding a new era of consciousness aligned with the principles once lived in Lemuria. Modern science has begun to explore ideas that, while framed differently, echo these ancient notions. The study of epigenetics reveals that experiences, emotions, and environmental influences can impact gene expression across generations. Could it be that memories of Lemuria, though not accessible through conventional history, persist within the subtle layers of our being, waiting for the right conditions to resurface? Those who feel a deep, unexplainable connection to nature, who experience moments of profound inner knowing, or who are drawn to healing practices and spiritual exploration, are often considered Lemurian souls. These individuals may not remember specific details of a past life, but they carry an innate resonance with the values and wisdom of that lost civilization. Throughout the world, communities and gatherings dedicated to awakening this ancient memory have begun to form. Circles where people meditate with crystals, chant forgotten tones, and share visions of a more harmonious future. These modern expressions are seen not as recreations of the past, but as the blossoming of seeds planted eons ago, seeds that survived the floods of time, now emerging in response to humanity's growing desire for reconnection and meaning. Sacred geometry also plays a role in this reawakening. The Lemurians, it is said, understood the fundamental patterns that underlie creations, the spirals, hexagons, and fractals that shape everything from galaxies to seashells. By contemplating these forms and integrating them into art, architecture, and meditation, modern seekers believe they can realign themselves with the universal harmonies that the Lemurians once lived by effortlessly. Water ceremonies, crystal grids, and sound baths designed to mimic the vibrational environments of Lemurian temples are becoming more common among those attuned to this path. These practices are not about nostalgia, but about reactivating a state of consciousness where peace, clarity, and unity are the natural order of life. Ultimately, the story of Lemuria invites reflection on what lies dormant within us all. It suggests that beneath the noise of modern existence, there is a quiet song and ancient melody calling us back to a simpler, purer way of being. A reminder that the wisdom of the past is not lost, but woven into the very essence of who we are. As we continue to listen to this subtle call, we begin to understand that Lemuria was never truly drowned by the sea. It lives on in the gentle awakening of hearts across the world, guiding humanity toward a future that echoes the light of its forgotten past. Across the vast stretches of ocean where Lemuria once stood, the winds still carry faint echoes of its ancient serenity. Those who sail the Pacific, especially near remote islands and uncharted waters, often speak of a peculiar stillness, a sense that the sea remembers. The legends of local islanders often align with this feeling, stories of a great land beneath the waves, where ancestors once walked in harmony with all life. In places like Hawaii, Fiji, Samoa, and Tahiti, Oral traditions recount tales of a motherland ancestral home that vanished beneath the ocean long before memory could be written. These stories, passed through generations, describe not only the sinking of a land but also the survival of its spirit. A belief that the essence of that place still lingers in the natural beauty surrounding them. Some elders speak of the mana, a spiritual energy that flows through all things. This life force, deeply respected in Polynesian culture, is thought by some to be a continuation of Lemurian understanding. The Lemurians, it is said, were masters of working with such energies, knowing how to align themselves with the flow of life rather than resist it. This concept of living in tune with unseen forces remains embedded in many indigenous practices, quietly preserving the wisdom of a forgotten age. The mysterious statues of Easter Island, known as moai, also draw attention from those who study Lemurian lore. These towering figures, carved from volcanic rock, stand watch over the land as if guarding secrets from a time when the island may have been a mountain peak of Lemuria itself. Some researchers speculate that the positioning and design of the moai hold close alignments with celestial patterns, energetic markers, or even representations of beings from that ancient civilization. While mainstream archaeology attributes these statues to the Rapa Nui people, alternative theories suggest a deeper connection to a civilization far older than currently accepted. Whether literal remnants of Lemuria or inspired by its lingering influence, the moai remain silent witnesses to mysteries that continue to elude explanation. Throughout these scattered islands, sacred sites often correspond with powerful energetic places, where those sensitive to subtle vibrations feel a heightened sense of awareness, peace, or connection. Travelers describe experiences of timelessness, of being enveloped by a presence both ancient and nurturing. These sensations are often attributed to the enduring energy of Lemuria, a gentle reminder that while land can sink, spirit remains eternal. Modern explorers, both physical and spiritual, continue to seek these hidden traces. Deep-sea expeditions occasionally uncover curious formations on the ocean floor. Terraces, walls, and structures that defy easy classification. Though many are dismissed as natural formations, others wonder if they are the eroded bones of Lemurian cities, long claimed by coral and sand. Yet, the true search for Lemuria does not lie solely beneath the waves or in forgotten ruins. It lies within the quiet spaces of human consciousness, in the dreams, intuitions, and moments of profound connection to nature that stir something ancient within the soul. The ocean may guard its secrets, but the heart remembers. Among those drawn to the mysteries of Lemuria, Mount Shasta holds a special place. Rising majestically in Northern California, this snow-capped peak is far from the Pacific Islands, yet it is considered by many to be a living portal to Lemurian energy. Stories abound of hidden chambers within the mountain, of glowing cities beneath its surface, where descendants of Lemuria are said to dwell in peace and seclusion. The legend of Talos, the subterranean city beneath Mount Shasta, emerged in the early 20th century, fueled by accounts of travelers who claimed to encounter mysterious beings near the mountain's base. These beings were described as tall, graceful, and radiating a calm, otherworldly presence, matching descriptions of Lemurians passed through esoteric circles. Visitors to Mount Shasta often report unusual experiences, visions, dreams, and feelings of being watched over by a benevolent force. Some speak of hearing ethereal music carried on the wind, or seeing fleeting lights dancing along the tree line at dusk. To those who believe, these are signs that the Lemurian legacy continues beneath the mountain, shielded from the noise of the modern world, yet subtly guiding those who seek higher understanding. Mount Shasta has become a pilgrimage site for spiritual seekers from around the globe. Gatherings, meditations, and ceremonies are held on its slopes, where participants attempt to attune themselves to the frequencies believed to emanate from the hidden city below. It is said that those with pure intentions and open hearts may receive insights or even glimpses into the Lemurian realms through visions or inner knowing. The connection between Mount Shasta and Lemuria is not just about hidden cities, it is about resonance. The mountain is believed to sit upon a powerful energy vortex, one of several across the planet, where the veil between dimensions is thinner. These vortexes, often associated with ancient sacred sites, are thought to be remnants of the global energy grid that the Lemurians once maintained and understood intimately. Crystals found near Mount Shasta are often revered as particularly potent, believed to carry the vibrational signatures of Lemurian wisdom. Those who meditate with these crystals claim to receive messages, not in words, but in feelings, images, and sudden moments of clarity that transcend ordinary thought. Beyond the mystical allure, Mount Shasta serves as a symbol of endurance and quiet strength, much like Lemuria itself. Towering above the landscape, untouched by the passage of time, it reminds those who stand before it that some truths cannot be erased by history or hidden by the oceans. They remain patiently waiting for those willing to listen with more than just their ears. The stories surrounding Mount Shasta and Telos invite reflection on the nature of hidden knowledge. Perhaps the greatest secrets of Lemuria are not locked away in physical places, but accessible through states of consciousness, through aligning oneself with the frequencies of peace, unity, and deep reverence for life. As the sun sets behind the great mountain and the stars emerge to cast their ancient light, one might sense that Lemuria was never truly lost. It simply stepped into the realms of spirit, where it continues to inspire those who seek a path of harmony, wisdom, and quiet remembrance. As the legends of Lemuria whisper through time, they often speak not only of a civilization in harmony with nature, but also of beings whose very existence transcended the limitations of the physical world. The Lemurians, according to many esoteric traditions, were not confined to dense, material forms as modern humans are. In the early days of their civilization, they were believed to possess etheric bodies, light and fluid, capable of interacting with both the seen and unseen realms. These etheric forms allowed the Lemurians to perceive energies, communicate telepathically, and move with a grace that seemed almost otherworldly. Their connection to higher dimensions was natural, not something to be sought after through spiritual practice, but an inherent state of being. As time progressed, however, it is said that they gradually became more embodied slowly, descending into denser forms as part of their evolutionary journey on Earth. This transition from light to matter is viewed by some as a necessary step in the soul's exploration of physical existence. Yet, with this densification came new challenges. the beginnings of separation from the effortless unity they once knew. As their forms became more solid, the Lemurians had to rely more on ritual and conscious effort to maintain their connection with higher realms. It was during this period that the great crystal temples were constructed, designed to amplify spiritual frequencies and assist in bridging the gap between the physical and etheric worlds. These temples, described in visions and channeled accounts, were not built in the way modern architecture understands construction. Rather, they were said to be grown-shaped through harmonious resonance with the earth's energies and the consciousness of the people. Towering spires of shimmering crystal reflected the light of the sun and stars, serving as both places of learning and centers for healing, meditation, and communion with cosmic forces. Within these sacred spaces, the Lemurians practiced arts long forgotten, using sound, light, and color to align body, mind, and spirit. They understood that disease was not merely a physical ailment, but a disruption in energetic flow. By restoring harmony through precise vibrations and crystalline frequencies, they could heal without the need for invasive methods or medicine as we know it today. This deep understanding of energy extended beyond personal well-being. The Lemurians were custodians of planetary balance, working with the Earth's grids to ensure that the flow of life force remained strong and unimpeded. Ceremonies were held at key points across the continent, where groups would gather to sing, chant, and meditate, sending waves of coherent energy through the land, sea, and sky. As the shadow of their eventual downfall loomed, many of these crystal temples were believed to have been intentionally sealed or hidden. Some are thought to remain intact beneath the ocean floor, others buried within mountains or deep within the Earth's crust. There are those who claim that these structures still pulse with energy, waiting for a time when humanity is once again ready to access their wisdom. The idea that such places exist challenges conventional understanding, yet it stirs something ancient within those who hear the tales. A quiet recognition that perhaps the greatest mysteries are not those we have yet to discover, but those we have forgotten. Among the many teachings attributed to Lemuria, the relationship between humanity and the stars holds a place of particular significance. The Lemurians, it is said, never viewed themselves as isolated inhabitants of a solitary planet. They understood that Earth was part of a vast, interconnected cosmos, a living jewel within a tapestry of celestial civilizations. Stories passed through mystical traditions suggest that the ancestors of the Lemurians were beings who arrived from distant star systems, choosing Earth as a place to nurture a civilization rooted in spiritual growth and harmony. These star ancestors, often linked to the Pleiades, Sirius, and other prominent constellations, were not conquerors or colonizers, but gardeners of consciousness, planting seeds of wisdom and guiding early humanity toward a path of light. The Lemurians maintained a deep connection with these celestial allies. Through their crystalline technologies and heightened states of awareness, they could communicate across the vast distances of space, not through mechanical devices, but through resonance, thought, and light. The stars were not distant and cold to them. They were familiar, radiant homes filled with kinship and shared purpose. Nightly rituals often involved gazing at the heavens, not with curiosity, but with remembrance. The constellations were seen as markers of lineage, stories, and guidance. The Lemurians charted the movements of celestial bodies, not merely for navigation, but to align their own energies with cosmic cycles. They understood that the rhythms of the stars influenced life on Earth, and by attuning themselves to these patterns, they could flow effortlessly with the greater currents of the universe. Some traditions speak of starships made of light vessels that appeared in the skies above Lemuria, shimmering like jewels, visiting from other realms to share knowledge or observe the growth of their earthly counterparts. These were not physical craft in the sense modern minds might imagine, but manifestations of consciousness and energy, visible to those who could perceive beyond the ordinary spectrum of sight. It is believed that when Lemuria faced its final days, messages were sent to these starkin, informing them of the impending cataclysm. Some suggest that a portion of the Lemurian people were taken aboard these light ships, carried to other worlds or dimensions where their journey would continue. Others chose to remain, accepting their role as guardians of Earth's spiritual heritage, embedding their knowledge into crystals, grids, and the genetic memory of future generations. This celestial connection is why many modern seekers who resonate with Lemurian energy also feel a strong pull toward the stars. Experiences of stargazing that evoke deep emotion, dreams of distant planets, or a sense of homesickness for a place beyond Earth are often interpreted as signs of this ancient lineage reawakening within. The resurgence of interest in starseed concepts where individuals believe their souls originate from other worlds echoes these Lemurian teachings. It reflects a growing awareness that humanity's story is not confined to Earth alone, but is part of a much larger cosmic unfolding. As the night sky stretches endlessly above, filled with countless points of light, it serves as a silent reminder of this connection. The Lemurians understood that to look up at the stars was to look into a mirror, reflecting both origin and destiny. And while their continent may have slipped beneath the waves, their bond with the cosmos remains a guiding light for those who still remember to look beyond the horizon of the known. As the quiet wisdom of Lemuria continues to echo through time, one of the most profound aspects of its legacy lies in the understanding of the human soul's journey. The Lemurians, it is said, held a deep awareness of reincarnation not as a belief, but as a lived reality. They recognized that life was a continuous cycle, a flowing river of experiences where the soul moved gracefully between realms, learning, growing, and returning to the source. In Lemurian culture, death was not feared. It was seen as a transition, a gentle passage from one state of being to another. Ceremonies surrounding this passage were filled with light, music, and celebration honoring the soul's journey rather than mourning its departure from the physical world. Families would gather, offering blessings to the departing spirit, knowing it would one day return in a new form, carrying forward the wisdom gained through lifetimes. This understanding fostered a society free from the fear that so often shapes modern existence. Without the looming shadow of death or the obsession with material accumulation, the Lemurians focused on cultivating inner peace, spiritual growth, and communal harmony. Each individual was viewed as a unique expression of the greater whole, a soul temporarily walking in form, contributing to the collective evolution of consciousness. Children were recognized not as blank slates, but as ancient souls reborn. From a young age, they were guided to remember who they were, encouraged to access memories and abilities from previous lifetimes. Education in Lemuria was less about imparting knowledge and more about awakening what already lay within, nurturing intuition, creativity, and a deep connection to the natural and spiritual worlds. Dream work played a central role in this process. The Lemurians viewed dreams as portals to higher realms, places where guidance could be received, and the soul could travel freely beyond the limitations of the body. Dream temples were established peaceful sanctuaries where individuals would enter states of conscious dreaming, seeking insight, healing, or communion with ancestors and star beings. These practices are echoed today in the traditions of lucid dreaming, shamanic journeying, and other forms of spiritual exploration. Those who walk these paths often describe encounters with landscapes of light, crystalline cities, and benevolent beings' visions that align closely with descriptions of Lemurian realms. The Lemurians also understood the power of intention in shaping reality. They knew that thoughts and emotions were not confined to the mind but radiated outward, influencing the world around them. This awareness fostered a culture of mindfulness, where individuals took great care in maintaining inner harmony, knowing that their personal state contributed to the well-being of the community and the environment. Modern science is beginning to explore similar ideas through studies of consciousness, quantum fields, and the impact of human emotion on physical systems. What is now considered groundbreaking research was, for the Lemurians, simply a natural part of existence. As humanity today grapples with disconnection and the search for meaning, the Lemurian perspective offers a gentle reminder that life is a sacred journey, guided by cycles far greater than the material world. To live with awareness of the soul's path is to embrace each moment with grace, knowing that every experience is part of a larger unfolding. The heart of Lemurian society was not built upon governance, hierarchy, or control, but upon a shared resonance of purpose and mutual respect. Unlike the rigid structures that define many civilizations, the Lemurians organized their lives through a fluid, organic system guided by wisdom keeper elders who held deep spiritual knowledge and served as gentle guides rather than rulers. These wisdom keepers were chosen not by birthright or ambition, but by their demonstrated harmony with the energies of life. They were individuals who had mastered the art of inner balance, whose presence alone could bring peace to those around them. Their role was not to command, but to offer counsel, ensuring that the community remained aligned with the natural rhythms of the earth and the cosmos. Decisions were made collectively, through consensus and intuitive understanding, rather than debate or conflict. The Lemurians believed that when hearts and minds were attuned to higher consciousness, the right path would reveal itself without struggle. Silence, meditation, and communion with nature often preceded important choices, allowing space for clarity to emerge from within. This way of living fostered a deep sense of unity. There was no concept of competition or ownership, as seen in later civilizations. Resources were shared freely, as abundance was seen as a natural state when harmony with the earth was maintained. The idea of scarcity was foreign to them, for they understood how to work with the energies of creation to provide for their needs without depletion or harm. Art, music, and expression flourished in this environment, not as commodities, but as essential aspects of spiritual life. Every song, every piece of art, was seen as a reflection of the divine, a way to honor the beauty of existence. Creativity was encouraged as a means of connecting with higher realms, with individuals often entering trance-like states where inspiration flowed effortlessly from the subtle worlds into form. One of the most revered practices in Lemuria was the Dance of Light, a ceremonial movement, performed not for entertainment, but as a sacred act of alignment. Participants would gather at dawn or beneath starlit skies, moving gracefully in patterns that mirrored cosmic geometries. Through these dances, they attuned themselves to celestial cycles, grounding the energies of the stars into the earth, and uplifting their own spirits in the process. Such practices are echoed today in forms like sacred dance, yoga, and Tai Chi, modern reflections of ancient movements designed to harmonize body, mind, and spirit. Those who engage in these arts often speak of a deep sense of peace and connection, perhaps unknowingly tapping into the remnants of Lemurian tradition. The Lemurians also held a profound respect for the feminine principle, not merely in terms of gender, but as an embodiment of nurturing, intuition, and creation. Their society honored both masculine and feminine energies in balance, recognizing that true harmony arose from the interplay of these forces. Temples dedicated to the divine feminine were places of healing, renewal, and celebration of life cycles. As patriarchal systems later dominated human history, much of this reverence was lost or suppressed. Yet, in recent times, there has been a resurgence of interest in restoring this balance. A quiet awakening of the sacred feminine across cultures, echoing the Lemurian understanding that both aspects must coexist in unity. In contemplating the societal structure of Lemuria, one sees not a utopia born of rules and enforcement, but a living example of what is possible when a people choose to live from the heart, guided by wisdom, compassion, and an unwavering connection to the greater web of life. It stands as a reminder that true harmony does not require control, but trust in oneself, in each other, and in the rhythms of the universe. The Lemurians' relationship with the natural world was not one of survival or dominion, but of deep, conscious partnership. To them, every element of nature, every tree, stone, river, and mountain, was alive with spirit, each holding its own wisdom and song within the great symphony of existence. This was not a belief, but an experiential truth, woven into every aspect of daily life. They practiced what modern minds might call nature communion, though for the Lemurians, it was as natural as breathing. Before harvesting plants, they would sit in silent reverence, attuning themselves to the energy of the living being before them. They would ask permission, offering gratitude in return, knowing that the exchange was part of a sacred cycle. This respectful interaction ensured that nothing was ever taken without acknowledgement, and in doing so, they maintained a balance that kept their environment thriving. Gardens in Lemuria were not cultivated through force or manipulation, but through cooperation with the elemental being spirits of earth, air, fire, and water that the Lemurians recognized as caretakers of the natural world. These elemental allies would guide them in how to grow food, heal the land, and harmonize with the seasons. Stories suggest that the Lemurians could encourage plants to flourish simply through song and intention, their voices resonating with the frequencies that nurtured growth. Water, too, was more than a necessity for life. It was a sacred mirror reflecting the consciousness of those who interacted with it. The Lemurians understood that water held memory, capable of absorbing thoughts, emotions, and intentions. They would often bless rivers, lakes, and rainfalls with songs and prayers, knowing that these vibrations would carry throughout the land, uplifting all who came into contact with them. Modern science has only recently begun to explore these concepts through studies on the structure of water and its response to human intention. Researchers like Masaru Emoto have demonstrated how water crystals form differently when exposed to positive or negative thoughts, a discovery that echoes what the Lemurians practiced naturally thousands of years ago. Animals, too, were regarded as equals and teachers. The Lemurians communicated with them through empathy and telepathy, sharing a bond that transcended language. Dolphins, whales, and birds were particularly revered, seen as messengers between worlds, carriers of ancient songs that connected the ocean's depths to the skies above. It is said that even now, the songs of whales echo the frequencies of Lemuria, resonating through the vast oceans like lullabies from a forgotten homeland. This profound respect for all life created a society where conflict was rare, and disharmony was addressed not through punishment, but through healing and restoration of balance. When an individual felt disconnected or distressed, they were guided back to alignment through time spent in nature, in meditation, or in the presence of crystals and sacred sounds. This approach to well-being extended beyond individuals to the land itself. The Lemurians acted as guardians of the Earth's energies, ensuring that no place became depleted or imbalanced. They understood that the health of the land was a reflection of the health of their own spirits, a symbiotic relationship where care and reverence flowed in both directions. In remembering how the Lemurians lived with nature, we are reminded that the earth is not a resource to be used, but a living partner in the journey of existence. Their legacy whispers through the rustling leaves, the flowing rivers, and the songs of birds, inviting humanity to once again walk gently upon the land, listening to the quiet wisdom beneath every step. The art of healing in Lemuria was a reflection of their deep understanding of energy, vibration, and the interconnectedness of all things. Unlike modern medicine, which often focuses on treating symptoms, the Lemurian approach addressed the root causes of imbalance, viewing illness as a disruption in the flow of life force rather than a mere physical ailment. Central to their healing practices were crystals considered living beings in their own right, each carrying unique frequencies and properties. The Lemurians did not simply use crystals as tools. They formed relationships with them, communicating and collaborating in the process of restoring harmony. Specific crystals were attuned to different aspects of the body and spirit, and healers would carefully select and program them through intention, sound, and light. Healing temples, often constructed entirely of crystalline materials, served as sanctuaries where individuals could realign their energies. These spaces were designed with precise geometries, allowing natural energies to flow unobstructed, creating an environment where the body could naturally return to its optimal state. Soft tones resonated through these halls, as sound was an essential element in the Lemurian healing arts. It is said that the Lemurians could diagnose energetic imbalances through perception alone, seeing the subtle fields of color and vibration surrounding each being. By using harmonic tones, light patterns, and the supportive presence of crystals, they would gently guide these energies back into coherence. There was no concept of invasive procedures or synthetic remedies. Healing was a collaborative dance between the individual, nature, and the unseen forces of life. Breathwork also played a vital role. The Lemurians understood that breath was more than the intake of air, it was the conduit of prana, or life energy. Through specific breathing techniques, they could cleanse the energetic body, release blockages, and elevate consciousness. These practices are echoed today in disciplines such as yoga, qigong, and various forms of holistic therapy. Emotional and spiritual well-being were inseparable from physical health. The Lemurians recognized that unresolved emotions, negative thoughts, or spiritual disconnection could manifest as physical ailments if left unaddressed. Community support, open-hearted communication, and time spent in nature were all integral to maintaining balance. There was no stigma associated with seeking healing. It was viewed as a natural and honorable process of returning to wholeness. One of the most revered healing ceremonies was known as the Song of Renewal. In this practice, healers and community members would gather around the individual in need, singing harmonized tones that resonated with the person's unique energetic signature. These songs were not rehearsed, but flowed intuitively, guided by the collective consciousness. As the vibrations filled the space, they would dissolve disharmony, infusing the individual with light, love, and the memory of perfect health. Today, echoes of these practices can be found in sound healing sessions, crystal therapy, and energy work modalities such as Reiki. Though fragmented and adapted to modern contexts, they carry the same underlying principle that true healing arises from restoring harmony within the energetic fabric of life. The Lemurian approach to wellness reminds us that health is not merely the absence of disease, but a state of alignment with the natural rhythms of the body, the earth, and the cosmos. It is a gentle invitation to view ourselves not as isolated entities, but as luminous beings in constant relationship with the world around us. As humanity continues to seek solutions to the growing challenges of physical and mental health, the forgotten wisdom of Lemuria offers a timeless perspective, one that calls us back to simplicity, balance, and the profound healing power of connection. The spiritual life of the Lemurians was not confined to rituals or temples. It permeated every aspect of their existence. For them, spirituality was not a separate pursuit, but the very essence of daily life, a continuous awareness of the divine presence flowing through all things. Each sunrise, each breeze, each heartbeat was a reminder of their connection to the greater cosmos. Unlike later civilizations that developed structured religions, the Lemurians followed no dogma, worshipped no distant gods, and built no hierarchies of belief. Their understanding of the divine was intimate and personal, an ever-present force experienced through nature, through community, and within themselves. The concept of separation between the human and the sacred simply did not exist. Central to their spiritual philosophy was the recognition of oneness, understanding that all life is interconnected, that every being is a reflection of the same universal consciousness. This awareness fostered a deep sense of compassion, empathy, and responsibility toward all forms of existence. To harm another, whether human, animal, or plant, was to harm oneself. for all were seen as expressions of the same living essence. Meditation was a natural part of Lemurian life, practiced not as an effort to reach higher states, but as a gentle tuning in to the ever-present flow of energy. Sitting by a stream, walking through forests, or simply gazing at the stars, they would enter states of profound stillness, allowing their consciousness to expand beyond the physical form. In these moments, they experienced unity with the earth, the skies, and the unseen realms beyond. One of the most sacred practices involved communion with the Great Light, a term used to describe the source of all creation. The Lemurians did not envision this source as a figure or entity, but as a boundless field of luminous energy, filled with love, wisdom, and infinite potential. By aligning their hearts and minds with this light, they could access guidance, creativity, and deep inner peace. The transmission of spiritual knowledge was primarily intuitive. Elders and wisdom keepers would guide younger generations not through instruction, but through example-living embodiments of balance and serenity. Storytelling, song, and shared experiences under the open sky served as gentle reminders of the truths that each soul already carried within. Sacred gatherings were held during celestial event solstices, equinoxes, and significant planetary alignments. During these times, the Lemurians would come together in large circles, joining their energies in collective meditation and song. These ceremonies were not only celebrations, but also acts of planetary service and sending waves of harmony through the Earth's energy grids and out into the cosmos. There was a deep understanding that humanity's role was not to dominate or control, but to act as caretakers and co-creators within the universal dance of life. This sense of purpose infused every action, from the way they cultivated food to the way they spoke to one another, always with mindfulness, always with reverence. As modern humanity searches for meaning amidst the complexities of contemporary life, the spiritual legacy of Lemuria offers a path back to simplicity, a reminder that connection to the divine is not found in distant places or complicated doctrines, but in the quiet awareness of the present moment, in the gentle recognition that we are, and have always been, part of something greater than ourselves. The wisdom of Lemuria did not vanish entirely beneath the waves. Before the final days of their civilization, it is said that the Lemurians took great care to preserve their knowledge not through written words, but through energetic imprints, sacred geometry, and crystalline consciousness. They understood that physical records could be lost or destroyed, but energy and intention could endure across millennia. One of the most enduring legends speaks of the Lemurian libraries, vast collections of knowledge stored within crystals, hidden temples, and even within the Earth's energetic grid itself. These libraries were designed to be accessed by future generations when humanity was once again ready to embrace higher consciousness and live in harmony with the planet. Crystals, especially quartz, were seen as ideal vessels for this purpose. The Lemurians are believed to have programmed these stones with complex information frequencies, images, and codes that could be unlocked through resonance, meditation, and pure intent. Unlike modern data storage, this form of preservation was alive, interactive, responding to the consciousness of those who sought its wisdom. Many who work with Lemurian seed crystals today describe sensations of warmth, subtle vibrations, or sudden insights when holding these stones. Some report receiving visions of ancient landscapes, hearing ethereal music, or feeling a deep emotional connection to a past they cannot consciously recall. These experiences are often interpreted as the crystals awakening, sharing fragments of the knowledge they have safeguarded for ages. Beyond crystals, certain locations around the world are believed to house remnants of Lemurian energy natural temples, where the veils between dimensions remain thin. Mount Shasta, the Andes, parts of Australia, and remote Pacific islands are among the places where seekers feel drawn to connect with these ancient frequencies. Pilgrimages to such sites are not merely journeys through space, but through layers of consciousness, opportunities to attune oneself to the forgotten harmonies of a world once guided by light. There are also teachings that suggest the human body itself carries the imprint of Lemurian wisdom. The concept of cellular memory proposes that the experiences of ancient lifetimes remain encoded within our very being, waiting to be reawakened through spiritual practice, meditation, or encounters with certain energies. This idea resonates with those who, upon hearing the name Lemuria, feel a deep, inexplicable sense of familiarity, if responding to a call from across the ages. In recent years, guided meditations, sound frequencies, and energy activations aimed at reconnecting with Lemurian consciousness have grown in popularity among spiritual communities. These practices are designed to help individuals remember their connection to this ancient lineage, not by learning something new, but by dissolving the layers of forgetfulness that have accumulated over lifetimes. The resurgence of interest in Lemuria is often viewed as part of a broader awakening, a shift in human consciousness toward greater empathy, environmental stewardship, and spiritual awareness. As modern society faces unprecedented challenges, many feel that the time has come to rediscover the wisdom of the past, to integrate the gentle teachings of Lemuria into a world longing for balance. The Lemurian libraries, whether hidden in crystals, sacred sites, or within the heart of humanity itself, continue to pulse quietly beneath the surface of modern awareness. They await those who are ready to listen not with the ears but with the soul, ready to remember a time when knowledge was not hoarded, but shared freely in service of harmony and light. In this remembering, the legacy of Lemuria lives on not as a distant myth, but as a guiding presence, softly illuminating the path toward a more compassionate and connected future. As the final days of Lemuria approached, the once harmonious land began to feel the subtle shifts that signaled great change. The Lemurians, deeply attuned to the Earth's rhythms, could sense the growing instability beneath their feet, the restless murmurs of the oceans, the distant tremors that echoed through the crystalline grids. Yet, unlike civilizations that might panic in the face of such omens, the Lemurians met this impending transition with grace and acceptance. They understood that the Earth itself was a living being, undergoing its own cycles of transformation. The sinking of their continent was not viewed as a punishment or a disaster, but as part of a larger cosmic rhythm and ebb and flow that governed not only the land but the evolution of consciousness. The Lemurians knew that their time in physical form was drawing to a close, but they also knew that their essence would endure. In preparation for what was to come, gatherings were held across the land. Communities came together in sacred ceremonies, focusing their collective energy on preserving the wisdom they had cultivated over countless generations. Crystal libraries were activated, energetic imprints were embedded into the Earth's grid, and songs were sung not of sorrow, but of remembrance and hope. Some among them chose to ascend beyond the physical realm, shifting their vibration to exist in higher dimensions where they could continue their journey without the limitations of the material world. Others, guided by visions and ancient prophecies, sought refuge in the inner sanctuaries of the planet-vast subterranean realms, where they could live in peace, hidden from the surface and its coming upheavals. These inner worlds, often referred to in modern lore as Agartha or Shambhala, are believed by some to be home to the last remnants of Lemurian civilization. Descriptions of these realms speak of luminous cities powered by crystal energy, where beings of light continue to dwell in harmony, watching over the surface world as silent guardians of forgotten truths. There were also those who felt called to remain on the surface until the very end, accepting their role as witnesses to the closing chapter of their beloved homeland. These souls stood upon the cliffs and mountaintops as the seas rose, singing farewell to the land that had nurtured them, sending waves of love and light into the waters that would soon claim their sacred ground. It is said that as Lemuria sank beneath the ocean, a great peace settled over the land. There was no chaos, no fear, only a profound sense of unity and transcendence. The Lemurians knew that death was but a doorway, and that their spirit would continue to guide the earth from realms unseen. The peaks of certain islands, Hawaii, Easter Island, and other scattered remnants are believed to be the last visible fragments of this ancient continent. These places carry a unique energy, a lingering resonance of the civilization that once thrived there. Those who visit often speak of a deep sense of calm, a feeling of being connected to something vast, ancient, and benevolent. As the ocean waves now roll endlessly over the sunken lands, they carry with them the songs of Lemuria, melodies that drift through time, reaching those who are quiet enough to hear. These songs do not speak of loss, but of continuity, of a legacy that transcends the boundaries of land and sea, body and spirit. The fall of Lemuria was not an end, but a transformationa, shifting of form, a dispersal of light across the world and into the hearts of future generations. And though the physical continent may lie hidden beneath the Pacific depths, its story continues to unfold in the subtle currents of human consciousness. Long after Lemuria disappeared beneath the waves, its influence continued to ripple through the early cultures that emerged across the globe. Survivors, whether in physical form or through the transmission of spiritual knowledge, are believed to have carried fragments of Lemurian wisdom to distant lands. These seeds of ancient understanding quietly took root in the myths, symbols, and spiritual practices of civilizations yet to rise. In the highlands of the Andes, among the shamans of Peru and Bolivia, echoes of Lemurian teachings can be found in their reverence for Pachamama, the Earth Mother, and their deep connection to the natural world. The intricate knowledge of energy lines, sacred mountains, and the healing power of plants suggests a lineage that stretches back to times long forgotten. In Australia, the Aboriginal Dreamtime stories speak of a primordial era where ancestral beings shaped the land through song and intention. These tales mirror the Lemurian understanding of creation through vibration and consciousness. The songlines that crisscross the Australian landscape are believed to be ancient pathways of energy, much like the grids maintained by the Lemurians. Across Polynesia, legends of sunken homelands and voyages from a great motherland persist. The navigation skills of these oceanic peoples, guided by stars, waves, and subtle energies, hint at knowledge inherited from ancestors who once traversed the vast Pacific when Lemuria still rose above the sea. Even in Asia, whispers of a lost land to the east appear in ancient texts and folklore. The concept of Mua term, often associated with Lemuria, appears in the myths of Japan and other cultures, suggesting that the memory of this ancient civilization was more widespread than commonly believed. These cultural remnants, scattered like pieces of a great mosaic, point to a shared heritage rooted in the Lemurian way of life. Though adapted to different environments and epochs, the core principles remain the sanctity of nature, the power of vibration, the unity of all life, and the pursuit of spiritual harmony. In modern times, as humanity stands at a crossroads, there is a growing movement to reconnect with these ancient truths. People around the world are turning once again to the wisdom of indigenous cultures, seeking guidance in restoring balance with the earth and with each other. This resurgence is seen by some as the reawakening of Lemurian consciousness, a slow but steady return to the values that once guided a civilization of light. The technological advancements of the present age offer both challenges and opportunities. While modern society often mirrors the path of Atlantis, focused on external progress, and material mastery, the quiet call of Lemuria invites a different approach. It asks humanity to remember that true evolution is not measured by what is built or conquered, but by the depth of connection to the soul, to nature, and to the cosmos. The legacy of Lemuria is not a relic of the past, but a living presence, gentle force that continues to inspire those who seek a more compassionate and harmonious way of being. It reminds us that beneath the layers of modern complexity lies a simple truth, that we are all part of a greater whole, and that by remembering this, we can begin to heal not only ourselves but the world around us. As the winds carry whispers from across the Pacific, and as the stars shine down upon the silent ocean, the story of Lemuria flows onward on, eternal current of light, guiding those who are ready to remember the path home. The memory of Lemuria lingers not only in stories and sacred sites, but also in the quiet stirrings of human hearts. Across the world, individuals experience moments of inexplicable connection, feelings of familiarity when gazing at the ocean, a deep sense of peace when surrounded by nature, or dreams filled with images of crystal cities and serene beings bathed in light. These subtle experiences are often described as soul memories, echoes of lifetimes spent in a world where harmony was the foundation of existence. Many spiritual traditions speak of this phenomenon, the idea that within each person lies a reservoir of ancient knowledge carried across incarnations. For those who resonate with the story of Lemuria, these feelings are more than imagination. They are gentle reminders of a forgotten past, surfacing at moments when the soul is ready to remember. This awakening often begins with a longing, a quiet yearning for something that cannot be named. It manifests as a desire to reconnect with nature, to seek out simplicity, to find meaning beyond the material world. Those who feel this pull may not immediately understand its source, but as they explore paths of meditation, healing, and spiritual growth, they begin to uncover threads that lead back to Lemurian wisdom. The rise of interest in holistic living, energy work, and conscious community building reflects this subtle reactivation of ancient values. Practices such as crystal healing, sound therapy, eco-spirituality, and heart-centered meditation are seen by many as modern expressions of the Lemurian way, adaptations of practices once commonplace in a civilization that lived in tune with the earth and stars. Guides, teachers, and intuitives often speak of being inspired by unseen forces energies that encourage them to share messages of unity, compassion, and balance. Some describe receiving visions or insights from what they believe to be Lemurian consciousness, offering gentle guidance to help humanity navigate the complexities of the modern age. This quiet resurgence is not marked by grand declarations or sudden revelations. It unfolds softly, like the rising tide, subtle, persistent, and guided by an inner knowing that the time has come for humanity to realign with the principles that once sustained a peaceful civilization. Communities dedicated to living in harmony with nature, honoring the cycles of the earth, and fostering spiritual growth have begun to emerge across the globe. These gatherings, whether intentional eco-villages, meditation circles, or spiritual retreats, mirror the communal spirit of Lemuria spaces, where cooperation replaces competition and where the well-being of the whole is placed above individual gain. Technology, once viewed as a barrier to spiritual connection, is also being reimagined through a Lemurian lens. Tools that promote global communication, access to spiritual teachings, and the spread of environmental awareness are seen as opportunities to weave ancient wisdom into the fabric of modern life. The challenge lies not in rejecting progress, but in guiding it with consciousness and care. The awakening of Lemurian memory is not limited to a select few. It is believed to be a collective process and unfolding that touches all of humanity as the planet itself moves through cycles of energetic transformation. The increasing awareness of interconnectedness, the desire for sustainable living, and the search for deeper meaning are signs that this ancient light is beginning to shine once more. As this gentle reawakening continues, the story of Lemuria serves as both a beacon and a blueprint, illuminating a path toward a future where the wisdom of the past guides the evolution of a more compassionate and harmonious world. At the heart of Lemurian wisdom lies a profound understanding of love, not merely as an emotion, but as the fundamental force that weaves together all of creation. The Lemurians viewed love as the purest expression of universal energy, an infinite current that flowed through every being, every stone, every star. To live in alignment with this energy was the highest purpose, the true path to harmony and enlightenment. In Lemuria, love was not confined to personal relationships or fleeting feelings. It was a state of being, an ever-present awareness that guided interactions, decisions, and the way each individual moved through the world. Compassion, kindness, and empathy were natural extensions of this understanding, requiring no laws or moral codes to enforce them. This unconditional love extended to all forms of life. The Lemurians recognized the sacredness within every creature, plant, and element. They practiced what might be called universal respect, knowing that to honor the spirit within another was to honor the divine within themselves. This created a society where trust, cooperation, and mutual support flourished effortlessly. The energy of love was also central to their spiritual practices. Healing, creation, and even communication were powered by this force. When the Lemurians sang, meditated, or worked with crystals, they did so with hearts open, allowing the flow of love to amplify their intentions and harmonize the energies around them. They believed that love could transform anything, that disharmony, illness, or even environmental imbalance could be healed through the focused transmission of loving energy. This was not seen as miraculous, but as a simple truth of how the universe functioned when aligned with its natural state. One of the most cherished ceremonies in Lemuria was known as the Circle of Light. In this gathering, community members would join hands, forming a circle beneath the open sky. Together, they would focus on generating waves of pure, unconditional love, sending this energy outward to the land, the oceans, and even beyond the stars. These ceremonies were acts of service, designed to uplift not only their own community but the entire planet and cosmos. Modern spiritual practices, such as group meditations for world peace, heart coherence techniques, and global healing intentions, are reflections of this ancient tradition. They echo the Lemurian understanding that when hearts unite in love, they create ripples that can transform reality on both subtle and profound levels. As humanity faces divisions, conflicts, and challenges that often stem from fear and separation, the Lemurian message of love serves as a timeless antidote. It reminds us that beneath all differences lies a shared essence, that by returning to the simple act of opening the heart, we can begin to dissolve barriers and restore harmony. Many who feel connected to Lemuria describe a deep inner calling to embody this love in their daily lives, not through grand gestures, but through small, consistent acts of kindness, presence, and understanding. They see themselves as carriers of the Lemurian light, quietly radiating compassion in a world that often forgets its own sacredness. The legacy of Lemuria teaches that love is not something to be sought externally, but something to be remembered within. It is the thread that connects us to each other, to the earth, and to the infinite expanse of the cosmos. As the story of Lemuria continues to whisper through time, its greatest gift remains this simple, profound truth that love is the source, the path, and the destination. An eternal force, guiding all beings home to the heart of existence. The wisdom of Lemuria was not only preserved through crystals and cultural echoes, but also through the subtle language of symbols, universal patterns that transcended spoken words and carried meaning across time and space. The Lemurians understood that certain shapes, forms, and geometries resonated with the fundamental structures of creation itself. These symbols were not invented, but discovered, reflections of the sacred blueprint that underlies all existence. Sacred geometry played a vital role in every aspect of Lemurian life. From the layout of their communities to the design of their temples, gardens, and even their art, everything was aligned with patterns found in nature: the spiral of a shell, the hexagon of a honeycomb, the fractal branching of trees and rivers. By living within these harmonious designs, the Lemurians maintained a constant resonance with the flow of universal energy. These patterns were more than aesthetic choices. They were keys to accessing higher states of consciousness. Meditation upon specific geometries allowed individuals to attune their minds to cosmic frequencies, opening pathways to insight, healing, and spiritual expansion. The flower of life, the golden ratio, and other timeless symbols are believed to have been central to Lemurian teachings, offering maps to understanding the interconnectedness of all things. Music and sound, too, were infused with geometric principles. The Lemurians crafted instruments that produced tones aligned with natural frequency sounds that could harmonize the body, mind, and spirit. These tones were used in ceremonies, healing practices, and daily life, creating an environment where dissonance was rare and balance was effortlessly maintained. Modern science has begun to rediscover the relationship between sound, vibration, and form through studies of cymatics where sound frequencies create intricate patterns in sand, water, and other mediums. These discoveries echo what the Lemurians practiced intuitively, understanding that sound could shape reality, influence matter, and align energies. Symbols were also used as a form of communication not only between people but with the earth and the cosmos. The Lemurians believed that certain symbols could convey intentions directly into the fabric of reality, bypassing language and thought. These glyphs of light, as some traditions call them, were inscribed upon crystals, woven into clothing, and traced in the air during rituals, serving as conduits for energy and consciousness. Even today, those who feel connected to Lemurian heritage often find themselves drawn to creating or meditating upon sacred symbols, feeling their subtle power to awaken memories and align the spirit. Mandalas, light codes, and intuitive drawings are seen as modern expressions of this ancient practice, visual prayers that resonate beyond the visible world. In contemplating these symbols, one begins to sense that the Lemurians left behind a language not meant to be spoken, but to be felt, a silent communication that continues to vibrate beneath the surface of modern awareness. These patterns remind us that harmony is not merely an ideal, but a structure embedded in the very nature of existence. As humanity rediscovers the power of these universal designs, the legacy of Lemuria unfolds once more, not through words or stories alone, but through the quiet resonance of shapes, sounds, and the eternal patterns that guide the dance of life. The Lemurians' understanding of time was vastly different from the linear perspective that governs modern thought. To them, time was not a straight path from past to future, but a flowing, cyclical Corinthian ocean in which all moments coexisted, accessible through shifts in consciousness. They recognized that the past, present, and future were interconnected, that by attuning their awareness, they could move freely within this temporal field. This fluid relationship with time allowed the Lemurians to access ancestral wisdom, glimpse potential futures, and remain fully present in the unfolding now. Practices such as deep meditation, dream work, and resonance with specific frequencies enabled them to transcend ordinary perceptions of time, entering states where guidance and insight flowed from beyond the confines of sequential thought. Their calendars were based not on arbitrary divisions, but on the natural rhythms of the earth, moon, sun, and stars. They observed cycles within cycles, the breathing of the planet, the pulse of cosmic energies, and the subtle patterns that governed growth, rest, transformation, and renewal. By living in harmony with these cycles, they aligned their lives with the greater movements of the universe, avoiding the stress and dissonance that comes from resisting natural flows. This understanding extended into their view of destiny and choice. The Lemurians believed that while certain patterns were woven into the fabric of existence, individuals possessed the power to navigate these currents with grace. Life was seen as a dance between fate and free will, where awareness and intention could influence the unfolding of events. Prophecy in Lemurian culture was not about predicting fixed outcomes, but about perceiving energetic trajectories, potential futures that could be altered through conscious alignment. When seers and wisdom keepers spoke of coming changes, their purpose was not to instill fear, but to offer guidance on how to steer toward harmony amidst shifting tides. This perspective is echoed today in the teachings of many indigenous cultures and spiritual traditions that emphasize living in accordance with natural cycles and honoring the wisdom of seasons, lunar phases, and celestial movements. It serves as a reminder that time is not an enemy to be outrun, but a partner in the dance of existence. As modern society becomes increasingly disconnected from these rhythms, dominated by artificial schedules and constant acceleration, the quiet call of Lemurian wisdom invites a return to timelessness. It encourages moments of stillness, reflection, and reconnection with the flow of life beyond clocks and calendars. Many who seek to embody this ancient understanding find solace in practices that slow the mind and open awareness to the present moment. Mindfulness, nature walks, contemplative arts, and simply observing the sky or the tides. These simple acts dissolve the illusion of linear time, allowing one to experience the eternal now where peace resides. The Lemurians knew that within this space of timeless presence lay the gateway to higher consciousness, a state where clarity, intuition, and unity with all life could be fully realized. In remembering this, humanity is offered a path to transcend the anxieties of past regrets and future worries embracing. Instead, the gentle unfolding of each moment as part of a grand, harmonious cycle. As the story of Lemuria continues to ripple through human awareness, its teachings on time serve as a quiet invitation to step out of the hurried pace of modern life and into the serene flow where true wisdom, healing, and connection await. The Lemurians' understanding of dreams was central to their way of life, for they recognized dreams not as mere fragments of the subconscious, but as sacred journeys, bridges to higher realms where guidance, healing, and deep wisdom could be accessed. Dreaming was seen as a form of travel, a conscious exploration of other dimensions, free from the limitations of physical existence. In Lemurian society, dreams were cultivated and honored. Children were taught from a young age to remember and share their dreams, recognizing them as messages from the soul and the greater cosmos. Dream temples, serene spaces often built from shimmering crystals and aligned with the Earth's energy grids, served as places where individuals could enter deeper states of conscious dreaming, seeking answers, insights, or even direct communion with star ancestors and spiritual guides. Dreams were not interpreted through rigid systems but felt intuitively. Each dream was understood to be a personal and evolving dialogue between the soul and the universe, a language of symbols, emotions, and energies that conveyed truth beyond the limitations of spoken words. Dreams that carried profound teachings were shared in community gatherings, where the collective could reflect and receive the blessings of the dream's wisdom. There were those among the Lemurians known as dream walkers, individuals specially gifted in navigating the dream realms with clarity and purpose. These beings acted as healers, seers, and guides, assisting others in interpreting dreams and journeying beyond the ordinary world to retrieve knowledge, restore soul fragments, or weave energies of healing across time and space. Modern parallels to this ancient practice exist in shamanic dreaming, lucid dreaming techniques, and visionary meditation practices. Those who explore these paths often find themselves encountering landscapes and beings that feel both deeply familiar and profoundly otherworldly echoes, perhaps of the Lemurian dream realms still accessible through the portals of consciousness. In Lemuria, it was understood that the dream world and the waking world were not separate but interwoven, each reflecting and influencing the other. Actions taken in dreams could bring healing to the waking body, just as intentions set in waking life could shape the journeys undertaken in sleep. This seamless relationship fostered a profound sense of unity between spirit and form, imagination and reality. As modern life often distances individuals from the depth of their inner worlds through distraction and busyness, the Lemurian perspective offers a reminder of the sacredness of dreams. It invites a return to listening deeply to the messages of the night, to honoring the visions, feelings, and guidance that rise from the soul's quiet depths. By rekindling a conscious relationship with dreams, one steps back into a timeless practice that transcends cultures and epochs, a bridge back to Lemuria, where every night was an opportunity to walk among the stars, to converse with the earth, and to remember one's place within the vast, unfolding tapestry of existence. Central to Lemurian life was the profound relationship they maintained with the crystalline energies of the earth. Crystals were not seen as mere stones, but as living consciousness beings of light and memory that played a vital role in the spiritual, technological, and everyday life of their civilization. To the Lemurians, crystals were trusted allies, bridges between worlds, and keepers of ancient wisdom. It is said that vast crystal cities once adorned the Lemurian landscape, where structures of shimmering quartz and other gems stood in resonance with the natural energies of the land. These cities were not built in the traditional sense, but grown through the harmonization of sound, light, and thought. Each structure served a purpose, amplifying healing frequencies, storing knowledge, facilitating communication across dimensions, or maintaining the balance of planetary energies. Among these, the Great Central Crystal was the most revered, monumental pillar of pure light and energy, said to be aligned with the heart of the earth itself. This crystal acted as a receiver and transmitter, allowing the Lemurians to exchange energies and information with the cosmos, maintain the health of the Earth's grids, and nurture their own spiritual evolution. The Lemurians understood how to work with crystals in deeply sophisticated ways. They programmed crystals with intentions and vibrational patterns, creating tools that could heal, protect, and uplift consciousness. They also used crystals to store vast amounts of information, much like modern computers, but their method was based on resonance rather than binary code, allowing access through intuitive attunement rather than mechanical devices. Crystals were incorporated into daily life, woven into garments, carried as personal companions, placed in homes, gardens, and community spaces to ensure a continuous flow of balanced energies. Each crystal was chosen with care, not for decoration, but for its specific resonance with the individual or environment it was intended to serve. Modern seekers who feel drawn to crystals, collecting them, meditating with them, or using them for healing may be tapping into ancient Lemurian memories. Many describe a sense of recognition, of being guided intuitively to certain stones that seem to speak or radiate a particular energy needed for their journey. Lemurian seed crystals, in particular, are said to be direct gifts from this ancient civilization. These crystals often feature unique markings, horizontal striations, or barcodes along their sides that are believed to contain encoded knowledge. Those who meditate with these crystals report receiving flashes of insight, emotional healing, and reconnections with soul memories long dormant. Beyond personal use, crystals continue to play a role in the healing of the earth itself. Crystal grids, carefully arranged patterns of stones placed with intention, are used to anchor light, harmonize environments, and support planetary healing efforts. These practices reflect the Lemurian understanding that the Earth's energies can be guided and uplifted through conscious collaboration with the mineral kingdom. In the quiet presence of a crystal, one can feel the echoes of Lemuria, the pulse of a civilization that lived not in separation, but in communion with all aspects of life. Through these timeless companions of stone and light, the wisdom of the ancients continues to whisper, inviting humanity to remember, to reconnect, and to once again walk the path of harmony and illumination. One of the most profound gifts the Lemurians left behind was their understanding of the energy grids that encompass the earthen network of subtle currents known today by many names: ley lines, dragon lines, or the planetary grid. To the Lemurians, these were not abstract concepts, but vital arteries of the planet's life force, channels through which energies flowed, connecting sacred sites, natural wonders, and the consciousness of all living beings. They recognized that the Earth itself was a living organism, with energy meridians similar to the ones found within the human body. Just as healers align and restore flow within the human energy system, the Lemurians tended to the Earth's grid with reverence and skill. Their temples, gardens, and crystal cities were not placed randomly. They were constructed precisely at nodal points where the Earth's energies converged, amplifying their connection to the cosmos and ensuring harmony across vast distances. Gatherings were often held at these power points, where ceremonies of sound, light, and intention would infuse the grid with coherent, loving vibrations. These rituals strengthened the bond between humanity and the planet, nurturing a relationship of mutual support and spiritual co-evolution. The Lemurians knew that their own health and the Earth's vitality were intimately entwined. Many of the world's enduring sacred sites are believed to occupy these ancient energy intersections, places like Uluru in Australia, Machu Picchu in Peru, and the temples of Hawaii. Even today, visitors to these sites often report feelings of upliftment, clarity, and profound peace, sensations that echo the Lemurian resonance still embedded within the land. The fall of Lemuria, and later Atlantis, disrupted the Earth's energetic balance. Without conscious caretakers, many parts of the grid weakened or fell dormant. Over time, human activity further fractured these delicate networks, as cities arose without regard for natural flows and technology grew disconnected from spiritual understanding. Yet, the Earth's energy system endures, awaiting a time of reawakening. In recent decades, there has been a resurgence of interest in reactivating the planetary grid through ceremonies, crystal placements, meditative focus, and intentional gatherings. Lightworkers, grid keepers, and modern mystics are retracing the old paths, listening to the call of the land, and restoring the ancient currents of life. The Lemurian memory within the collective human soul stirs during these efforts. Whether through pilgrimages to sacred sites, synchronized global meditations, or simple acts of reverence for nature, the work to heal and awaken the Earth's grid reflects a deep, ancient impulsato, once again live in conscious partnership with the living spirit of the planet. The Lemurians remind us that we are not separate from the Earth's energies. We are part of its great body, co-creators of its destiny. Every thought, every emotion, every intention ripples through the grid, contributing either to its coherence or its discord. In remembering this, humanity holds the power to not only heal the planet, but to elevate its own collective consciousness to heights once dreamed of in the days of Lemuria. As the subtle energies of Lemuria begin to stir more strongly within the hearts of those attuned, many find themselves drawn to a particular place, practice, or calling. This quiet guidance is often not dramatic, but rather a soft nudge, a knowing that unfolds with patience and trust. It may manifest as a pull toward healing arts, environmental stewardship, community building, or the simple act of living with greater mindfulness and compassion. For some, the awakening to Lemurian memory brings visions of a world yet to come, a future where the wisdom of the ancients is woven seamlessly into modern life. This future is not a return to the past, but an evolution, a blending of the best of what humanity has become with the pure principles that once guided Lemuria. It is a dream of balance, where technology serves the spirit rather than replaces it, and where communities thrive through cooperation, not competition. The Lemurian path is not one of forceful change, but of gentle remembrance. It invites each individual to embody the values of harmony, love, and reverence in their daily lives, to become living bridges between the forgotten past and the emerging future. It reminds us that transformation begins within, not through grand declarations, but through small, consistent acts of kindness, awareness, and connection. This awakening is deeply personal. No two journeys are the same. Some may feel called to work with crystals, others to tend the earth, create healing music, nurture children with wisdom, or simply hold a quiet space of peace within a chaotic world. All of these paths are sacred. All contribute to the collective reweaving of Lemurian consciousness into the fabric of modern life. As more people awaken to this ancient memory, an invisible network begins to form, an energetic grid of human hearts, resonating with love and unity. Though scattered across continents and cultures, these souls are linked by a common purpose: to restore balance, to heal, and to uplift. The challenges of the modern world, environmental crises, social divisions, spiritual disconnection, are not seen as obstacles by those who remember Lemuria. They are seen as catalysts, opportunities to apply ancient wisdom in new ways, to bring light into the shadows, and to co-create a world where the principles of peace, unity, and reverence once again guide human endeavor. The journey is ongoing. There is no final destination, no single moment of arrival. The Lemurian way is a path walked step by step, breath by breath, choice by choice. It is the conscious decision to live with an open heart, to honor the sacredness of all life, and to trust in the quiet unfolding of a greater plan. As the stars wheel overhead and the earth continues its timeless dance, the spirit of Lemuria lives on not as a relic of the past, but as a living promise. A beacon of what is possible when humanity remembers its true nature and chooses to walk once more in harmony with the earth, the cosmos, and the infinite light within. The soul of Lemuria whispers most clearly through the elements, through the soft caress of the ocean breeze, the steady pulse of the earth beneath bare feet, the golden warmth of the sun upon the skin, and the cleansing touch of rain. To those who quiet their minds and open their hearts, nature itself becomes the voice of remembrance, carrying ancient songs that need no translation. For the Lemurians, these elemental forces were not abstract concepts, but living beings, friends, allies, and teachers. Each element embodied a different aspect of creation. Earth offering stability and grounding, water bringing flow and emotional cleansing, fire igniting transformation and will, and air inspiring thought and connection to the unseen. Working with these elements was seen as a way to maintain inner and outer balance, keeping the sacred dance of life vibrant and harmonious. Ceremonies honoring the elements were woven into the fabric of Lemurian life. Simple acts offering flowers to a stream, singing to the winds, lighting a fire with prayerful intention, planting a tree with gratitude were not considered mere rituals, but profound gestures of partnership with the forces that sustained their existence. Through these practices, the Lemurians nurtured a constant dialogue with the living earth, strengthening the bond between humanity and nature. Today, many are returning to elemental practices, often without realizing they are reviving echoes of Lemuria. The popularity of forest bathing, ocean meditations, fire ceremonies, and breathwork reflects a deep ancestral urge to reconnect with the elemental spirits that once guided daily life. These acts help dissolve the illusion of separation, restoring the innate sense of belonging that modern life often obscures. The Lemurians also taught that the elements lived within the human body and spirit. The bones resonated with the strength of the earth. The blood carried the memory of oceans. The breath danced with the currents of the sky, and the inner spark of life mirrored the fire of the stars. Honoring the elements within was just as vital as honoring them in the outer world, creating a seamless bridge between microcosm and macrocosm. In moments of inner turmoil or disconnection, the Lemurians would turn to the elements for guidance and healing. A walk barefoot upon the soil, immersion in cool waters, breathing deeply beneath open skies, or warming the spirit by firelight would realign them with the greater currents of life, restoring clarity, vitality, and peace. As humanity now faces ecological crises and the consequences of disconnection from nature, the Lemurian path offers a simple, powerful remedido. Remember the earth not as a resource to be used, but as a sacred partner to be honored. To recognize the elements as living expressions of the same consciousness that flows through all life. In every drop of rain, every gust of wind, every mountain peak, and every flickering flame, the spirit of Lemuria lingers, inviting those who listen to step once again into the circle of life, to dance in rhythm with the heartbeat of the earth, and to awaken the ancient song that has never truly been forgotten. As the collective memory of Lemuria continues to stir in the hearts of humanity, the importance of community and shared purpose becomes ever more apparent. The Lemurians understood that individual enlightenment was inseparable from collective harmony, that the growth of one soul enriched the whole, and that isolation was a wound to be healed, not an inevitability of existence. Communities in Lemuria were founded upon principles of cooperation, mutual respect, and shared vision. Every member, from the youngest child to the eldest sage, was seen as a vital thread in the great tapestry of life. There were no outcasts, no hierarchies of worth. Each soul was honored for its unique gifts and contributions, celebrated not for status or achievement, but for being an expression of the infinite light. Decision-making was a communal act, guided by intuition, collective meditation, and the wisdom of elders who served not as rulers, but as stewards of balance. Conflicts, when they arose, were seen as opportunities for deeper understanding and healing. Circles of dialogue were held where all voices could be heard, and solutions were sought not through domination, but through unity of heart and spirit. This model of community stands in stark contrast to the divisions and competitions that often characterize modern society. Yet it offers a vision of what is possible when humanity chooses to live from a place of connection rather than fear. From the understanding that the well-being of one is intricately tied to the well-being of all. In today's world, many are feeling the call to recreate these kinds of communities, whether through intentional living spaces, spiritual gatherings, or online networks that foster genuine connection and support. These modern efforts, though sometimes imperfect, reflect the reawakening of a memory deeply rooted in Lemurian consciousness. Community, in the Lemurian sense, extends beyond human relationships to encompass all of life. The plants, animals, waters, stones, and unseen realms are all part of the circle. Celebrations were held not just for human milestones, but for the cycles of nature, the blooming of flowers, the migrations of birds, the turning of seasons. Every aspect of life was acknowledged as sacred, deserving of gratitude and celebration. In times of transition or challenge, the Lemurians turned to their community for strength, not merely for physical survival, but for spiritual sustenance. Gathering in circles beneath the stars, singing songs of hope and remembrance, they wove a web of light that sustained each soul through both joy and sorrow. In doing so, they demonstrated a truth that remains essential today, that no being walks alone, and that unity is the foundation of resilience. As more people seek to rebuild the sense of community that has been lost in modern life, the Lemurian teachings offer guidance to create sacred spaces where authenticity is welcomed, where hearts are heard, and where the earth herself is honored as a beloved member of the community, is to take a step back into the light of ancient wisdom. The spirit of Lemuria reminds us that to build a better future, we must begin with the simple, profound acts of connection, listening, sharing, supporting, and celebrating the sacredness of life together. In doing so, we weave once again the beautiful tapestry of unity that has always been waiting just beneath the surface of human memory. The Lemurians understood that the greatest temples were not those built of stone or crystal, but those crafted within the heart. For them, the inner sanctum, the sacred space within each soul, was where true connection to the divine blossomed. Though their land was adorned with luminous structures and gardens, their deepest spiritual work was internal, silent, invisible, and radiant beyond form. They cultivated this inner temple through daily practices of gratitude, mindfulness, and communion with life's subtle energies. Simple acts greeting the sunrise, placing hands upon the earth, breathing consciously, sharing a kind word were sacred rituals that kept the inner flame burning brightly. Spirituality was not something set apart from daily existence. It was the essence of every moment. The Lemurians believed that every heart held a spark of the great light, a seed of divinity, waiting to be nurtured through love, compassion, and wisdom. By tending to their inner worlds, they naturally radiated peace and healing into their communities and into the earth itself. They needed no intermediaries, no external structures to access the sacred. The divine lived within them, around them, and through them. This inner focus created a culture where humility and reverence were natural expressions, not virtues to be forced or taught. Pride, domination, and greed could not take root in soil so richly nourished by awareness of unity. Every interaction was a prayer, every breath a song, every life a thread in the sacred weaving of existence. Modern seekers who feel drawn to meditation, inner stillness, and heart-centered living are answering the same call that once guided the Lemurians. In a world often driven by external validation and relentless activity, the invitation to return inward to listen, to remember, to simply be carries profound healing power. The Lemurian path reminds us that lasting transformation begins not in changing the world around us, but in tending to the sacred flame within. As more individuals light their inner temples with love and awareness, the collective energy rises, creating ripples of harmony that touch lives in ways seen and unseen. This is the quiet revolution of consciousness that Lemuria whispers about through Timia, gentle, powerful awakening that does not shout or demand, but simply shines, inviting all who are ready to step into the radiant flow of remembrance and renewal. As the journey inward deepens, the boundary between inner and outer dissolves, revealing that the world we experience is but a reflection of the world we cultivate within. And through this realization, humanity holds the power to dream and build a future where the spirit of Lemuria is not just remembered, but lived anew. Throughout Lemuria's long existence, the people knew that their time in the physical realm was not endless. They understood the cycles of existence, the birth, growth, transformation, and eventual return to spirit that governed all life. Yet they faced this knowledge not with fear, but with profound trust in the unfolding journey of the soul. As the energies that sustained Lemuria began to shift, as the waters slowly rose and the earth song changed its key, the Lemurians prepared themselves, not through frantic escape or desperate resistance, but through conscious surrender, an embracing of the next phase of existence with open hearts and unwavering faith. Ceremonies were held across the land, not mournful farewells, but celebrations of continuity. Songs were sung to honor the time they had been gifted in physical form. Prayers were offered to the oceans that would cradle their homeland, and intentions were set to carry their wisdom forward into the evolving tapestry of life. It is said that on the final day, when the last peaks of Lemuria kissed the sky before succumbing to the embrace of the sea, a great light rose from the land, an immense burst of love, gratitude, and unity that imprinted itself into the Earth's very energy field. This light, though unseen by modern eyes, still radiates quietly beneath the oceans, within the mountains, and within the human heart. The Lemurians' conscious departure from the physical realm was not an end, but a transformation, a seeding of consciousness that would germinate across ages, calling forth new dreams, new civilizations, and new opportunities to live in harmony once again. Their spirit lingers in every effort to heal the planet, in every act of compassion between strangers, in every song sung to the stars, in every hand reaching out in kindness. It breathes within the waves, hums within the stones, and shines in the eyes of those who remember. The legacy of Lemuria is not confined to ancient memory or distant myth. It is alive in the present moment, available to any who choose to live from the heart, to honor the earth, to recognize the sacred in all things. It invites humanity to weave a new dream-on, rooted not in separation and fear, but in unity, love, and conscious co-creation. As the tides of change continue to rise in our modern world, the spirit of Lemuria rises too, not as a return to what once was, but as a blossoming of what has always been possible. It reminds us that within every heart lies the memory of paradise and the power to build it once more. And so, the story of Lemuria continues, not lost beneath the waves, but flowing like a timeless river through dreams, through songs, through the quiet, steady awakening of the soul. It is not a place left behind, it is a light ahead, a home within, and a promise eternally alive in the dance of life itself. In the subtle spaces between memory and imagination, between waking life and dreams, the spirit of Lemuria continues to whisper its ancient truths. Those who walk through forests, listen to the ocean's sigh, or gaze up at the endless stars may catch glimpses of that lost world. Not as a distant memory, but as a living vibration woven into the very fabric of existence. The Lemurians always knew that their story would not be preserved through monuments or written histories. Instead, they entrusted it to the living earth, to the songs of birds, the scent of rain, the shimmer of moonlight on still waters. They wove their essence into the energies of the planet itself, knowing that one day, when humanity was ready, the song of Lemuria would rise again, not as something to be studied, but as something to be felt and lived. This is why so many who feel drawn to Lemuria describe a recognition that transcends logic, a deep and unshakable sense of homecoming when they hear its name, see its symbols, or feel its energies. It is not knowledge that is learned, but memory that is awakened. Souls remembering of a time when life was simple, sacred, and whole. Modern efforts to heal the earth, to restore community, to live sustainably, and to reconnect with spirit are not merely reactions to contemporary crises. They are the blossoming of ancient seeds planted long ago by souls who understood that even after their land was lost, their vision would endure. Each act of kindness, each choice to honor the earth, each moment of mindful presence is a thread in the tapestry of Lemurian remembrance. The work is not always grand or visible. Often, it is the quiet, steady tending of the inner garden, cultivation of love, compassion, and unity within oneself that plants the most powerful seeds for collective healing. The Lemurians taught that change begins within. When a single heart remembers its connection to all life, the ripples of that awakening move outward, touching others, inspiring transformation far beyond what the eye can see. This is how a new world is built, not by force, but by the gentle, persistent rising of light through countless awakened souls. There is no need to search for Lemuria in lost ruins or distant places. Its true temple is within. Its true song is sung by the soul. Its true memory is alive in every act of love, every choice to live in harmony, every breath taken in gratitude and awareness. In remembering Lemuria, humanity remembers itself not as fragmented, isolated beings, but as luminous threads of a single, magnificent web of life. A web that stretches across time, across space, connecting stars and seas, mountains and hearts, in a dance that has never truly ceased. The Lemurians await not in some hidden city, but within the quiet spaces of the heart, offering their eternal invitation to awaken, to remember, to embody once again the sacred art of living in unity with all creation. In the gentle unfolding of Lemurian memory, there comes a deeper understanding that the journey of humanity and the earth is not a tale of fall and loss, but a spiral of ever-deepening wisdom. Lemuria was not a peak from which humanity fell, but a beginning, a first flowering of consciousness in physical form, a taste of what is possible when spirit and matter dance in harmony. The story of Lemuria teaches that cycles of growth, transformation, and renewal are natural and necessary. Just as a forest must occasionally burn to clear the way for new life, so too must civilizations rise, evolve, and sometimes dissolve to make space for new expressions of spirit. The sinking of Lemuria was not a failure, but part of a grander unfolding and offering of experience and memory to the soul of the world. Today, as humanity faces profound challenges and stands at the threshold of great change, the lessons of Lemuria offer guiding lights. They remind us that it is not through fear, division, or domination that true progress is made, but through love, unity, and conscious collaboration with the living earth. The new world, that so many feel stirring in their dreams and hopes, is not a utopia imposed from above, but a garden that must be tended by every willing heart. It is built moment by moment, choice by choice, as individuals remember their sacred connection to each other, to nature, and to the infinite dance of creation. Every soul who remembers carries a piece of this visiona fragment of the Lemurian dream made real again. These fragments, when shared and woven together, form the foundation of a new agonaut, one that repeats the patterns of the past, but one that honors the lessons learned and steps forward with wisdom, humility, and joy. The Lemurians watch with love from the unseen realms, not as distant gods or unreachable masters, but as elder brothers and sisters, walking beside humanity's unfolding journey. Their message is simple and timeless. Trust the light within. Honor the sacredness of all life. Remember that love is the true power that shapes worlds. As the sun rises each day and the earth turns beneath the stars, the invitation remains open to listen to the whispers of the ocean, the songs of the wind, the silence of the stones, to feel the pulse of ancient memory stirring within the heart, to step forward not in haste, but in reverence, to live each day as a prayer, each breath as a song, each action as a thread in the ever-unfolding tapestry of life. In doing so, The spirit of Lemuria is not merely remembered, it is reborn, not as a place of the past, but as a living presence within the world and within the soul. A timeless gift offered once more to those who choose to walk the path of love, unity, and awakening. The story of Lemuria, carried across oceans of time and space, does not end in silence or sorrow. It continues as a soft and steady song, flowing through the hearts of those willing to listen. It is not a memory frozen in the past, but a living current and energy that grows stronger each time a soul chooses compassion over fear, unity over separation, love over division. Lemuria lives on in the simple and the sacred, in every hand that plants a seed with care, in every voice that speaks for the oceans and forests, in every heart that dares to believe in a world guided by kindness and wisdom. It breathes through the winds, it shimmers in the waters, it hums within the very stones beneath our feet. For those who feel its call, there is no great task demanded, no heavy burden placed upon the shoulders. The invitation is gentle, as it has always been, to live with open eyes, open hearts, and reverence for the life that dances all around and within us. To see the sacred not as something hidden, but as the very essence of existence, waiting to be honored in every moment. The Lemurians remind us that greatness is found not in the towering monuments of civilization, but in the quiet strength of a kind word, the healing power of a sincere touch, the brilliance of a soul choosing light when darkness tempts. In the weaving of countless small acts of love and awareness, the new Lemuria is born not as a land rising from the sea, but as a frequency, a way of being, an awakened humanity. Each step taken in mindfulness, each breath filled with gratitude, each choice made from the heart adds a note to the great symphony of remembrance. Together, these notes rise into a new song, one that echoes through the unseen realms and resonates across the stars, carrying the message that humanity is ready once more to walk the path of unity and sacred living. And so, the story continues not as something to be longed for, but as something to be lived here and now. In gardens tended with love, in communities built with care, in dreams dreamed beneath open skies, the spirit of Lemuria flowers again. It lives wherever a child laughs freely, wherever a river is honored, wherever a heart chooses to see beauty in the smallest of things. As the ocean waves roll endlessly onto distant shores, as the forests breathe and the stars wheel across the heavens, the spirit of Lemuria smiles quietly, knowing that its light was never lost. It simply waited for the right moment, the right hearts, to awaken and carry it forward into a new dawn. And perhaps, as you listen to the wind or watch the dance of sunlight on water, you too will hear it, the gentle, eternal song of Lemuria, calling you home not to a distant land, but to the limitless light within your own soul. Though the lands of Lemuria have long since sunk beneath the waves, their spirit lives on, flowing through the earth beneath our feet, dancing within the oceans, and shining quietly within the heart of all who remember. The story of Lemuria is not a tale of endings, but of continuations, a soft, steady song that rises whenever we choose love over fear, unity over division, and kindness over forgetting. As you return from this journey, may the whispers of Lemuria stay with you, reminding you that paradise is not lost, it is waiting to be lived again, within you and all around you.